C'est bon.
For those who don't know, that's just old standard 145 12 bar.
Yes.
Okay, and that was a good job. Tell us your name, sir.
My name is Bruce Agababian.
Bruce Agababian.
Bruce Agababian, yes.
Am I pronouncing that right? Agababian.
That's correct, yes.
I like saying Agababian for some reason. that feel I've never said that before. That's the first time me ever saying that. Check this out, man. A very nice 12 bar 145 blues there.
That's it.
Great Detroit bass player. I can tell you got some skills there. Hanging out with us here in the BASSMINT.
Right.
You pronounce it basement.
Yes.
At Reggie Canty's house, our gracious host, assistant on this interview, because you know that's what I got to do. I'm interviewing every single last Detroit bass player until the day I die. Assistant on this interview, we got my man Mike. See?
What's up?
I know your name now, Mike.
Corey Travantelli.
I know Corey's name. You didn't have to say it. We got Reg. I know Reg's name. Our gracious host, thank you, Reg, for letting us use the basement, man. Really appreciate it. Also, we got Alvin Grimes over here. And we got my man Maurice Ball, a guitar player. If these were all one video, I would crack a joke because it'd make sense, but I don't want to just keep messing with you every single one. A great guitar player. We also have a bass player. His name is Chuck. And then we got Mike in the house. And we got my man Dennis, the rock bass player. And we also have Gordon Spencer in the house, also known as the bass pimp. And I named everybody that time, okay? Everybody.
Very good.
Y'all don't know I would mess up a name. So if you don't believe me, come in and let me interview you. I guarantee you I will forget your name. Welcome, Bruce. Thanks for coming to hang out with us in the basement. And when you got here earlier today, you know, we did quite a few interviews today, right?
Right.
What you think about some of these bass players that's been in here?
It's a great cross section, which is really kind of cool. We got all different kinds of guys that play, and we all have one thing in common, and that's the bass, and that's the really cool part.
All right. I mean, we got the youngster there.
Yes. We got the rockers.
And two doors down, we got the Ulster, Reg. Well, he proud of it, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no shame in his game. And again, a contrast, just, you know, the different ages and stuff, and like you say, the different styles. And then when you walk in here, you seeing cats that, hey, I know this cat, you know what I'm saying? Like, who you see in here that you've been knowing for?
Gordon, I've seen Gordon 1,000 times. He plays with my best friend Jake Smith, and he's been in Brothers from Another Planet, and he's got this new band going on right now. So
yeah, one of the heavy hitters in the house with us, hanging out. Yeah. Also, not only is he hanging out with us, Gordon is the bass pimp is a kind dude. When he came in here today, he came bearing gifts and stuff. Now, what did he give us today?
And the little wristbands, get a shot of the wristbands.
He gave us those stickers. He also gave us
Detroit, bass in Detroit.
Wait, hold on, let the camera focus for us.
Detroit, get it?
I'm waiting for the camera to focus. Yeah, now you can say something.
Bass in Detroit, wristbands. Come and see me, hook you up.
Right, now, that is so awesome. Now, did you bring anything else with you today?
I have some T-shirts, but that I have.
Are you giving those away to us today?
I'm giving them $10. They're normally $20, but today, $10.
And folks, just watching this stuff is all over the world. You don't believe me? What's your website?
BassPimp.com, or you go to Gordon Jazz Bass Spencer on Facebook, or Selling Innocent Bystanders website, or you could go on Detroit Bass Fest, Detroit's Bass Players. You could go on Bass Players Australia, because I do a lot of stuff back for them, and you go back to Bruce Agababian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, try to pick up one of them shirts and represent, man. And just a straight out bass player. You know what I mean? And you ain't got to be from Detroit. He got T-shirts for the whole wide world. So check him out. Now, Bruce, when did you start playing the bass and why?
I started playing clarinet when I was in 6th grade, and I played through junior high school and high school, and I went to college, and I was in the marching band at Western's marching band, and that was the first year I did that, and I got phys ed credit for it and some cash. And
For what?
For being in marching band.
What instrument did you play?
Clarinet.
Oh, you still on the clarinet?
Yeah, still on clarinet, okay. And I did that, and then the next year I wanted to do it again, and I called up the director and he said, well, we're only doing music majors, and I was an art major, so he said, we're just going to stick with the music majors, okay? And he hung up the phone. I thought, oh, what the hell do I do? So I was living with a bunch of, with 3 other guys in a flat that was this size. And they were guitar players. I lived with 2 guitar players and a drummer. And I told them my situation, and they said, well, if you were a bass player, that would be great. So the light went off in my head, and my brother used to play bass, and it was sitting down in the basement of the house.
That's BASSMINT.
Yeah. So I went home and I said, do you mind if I take your bass up to school with me? He goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. It was a Framus bass.
Wow.
A very thin neck with a Magnatone 115 tube amp.
Wow.
Yeah. So I took that up to school, and I learned how to play bass with 2 other guys in a room about this big. It was a flat, upstairs flat, and we would start wailing around 10 o'clock, after we had a few pops, and the neighbors downstairs would pull the fuse out at around 12:30. We had to stop. So that's how I learned how to play bass.
Now, when was this?
This was when I was 20 years old, and that was 40 years ago.
I'm trying to wrap my head around. I'm trying to wrap my head around the period when you talk about Megatrons and
Magnatone.
Magnatone.
Yeah, that's old. That was old.
So this is the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I started playing. Jeez, how old was I? 72, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the same year I started playing bass, 1972.
Yeah.
Okay, so
so I started playing a lot of rock and roll, of course.
Tell me one of the first songs do you remember playing on the bass and getting it?
I really liked Cream. I thought Cream was great. Jack Bruce is my hero, and that's the reason why I started playing bass.
Cool.
And he was the guy, In fact, I got in a trade a Gibson EB3 bass. Yeah, for a drum set, a horrible bass. Just a horrible. But Jack played it, so it was cool. And I had that bass for the longest time. I sold it. I sold it. But yeah.
Do you wish you still had it?
I wish I still had it, but it was either that or my house, so I had to sell the bass. It was during 2008. It was bad, and I needed cash, and so it was kind of like.
Okay, that's 3 bleeps on my All right, so when you guys started playing back in the 70s, what kind of music were you playing, Bruce?
Led Zeppelin, The Doors. Oh God.
Awesome stuff.
We did all kinds of stuff.
Whatever was popular.
Cream, yeah, whatever was popular at the time. And I played with those guys, but we were just starting out. And where I really turned was when I met my good friend Jake Smith. Jake Smith is from Kalamazoo, and I met him in a garage when I was 21. And the cops came, and we had a great time, and there's a long story to that one, but that's who I met, and that's who I played with, and we played every high school and junior high school in Kalamazoo, and it was just a lot of fun. It was 2 hours worth of work. We got about $300 at the time. You'd go in 2 hours, like from 7 to 9, grab the money and go, and we would play a full set of what we called heavy metal, but now it's classic rock, and that's basically what we did. That's basically what we did. We had flash pods, we'd shoot them off, you know, and great big smoke in the room, and everyone danced their lives away, and it was a lot of fun, and I did that quite a bit. That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
You not still doing that?
No, that's the one thing. It's such a change from what I started out doing. Now I'm doing show tunes. I just got done doing Camelot over at the Birmingham Theater. That's reading music and doing legit stuff.
Right.
So it's just like it's hot and cold, you know. So yeah, but it's still a lot of fun. I still enjoy doing it. I played rock and roll in my 20s. I did disco and top 40 in my 30s. In my 40s, I played blues with a bunch of blues bands. In my 50s, I played swing music. I played in a big band, 16-piece big band. I did that for a long time.
Jake recorded.
That's where I got, Jake did all the recording for that. That's where I learned how to read music. I went and applied for the gig, and the leader of the band said, "Can you read music?" And I said, "Sure." And luckily they had a tuba player. So I was kind of like, I sat down with a Mel Bay, a book, for a night just to get a grasp of the music. It's bass clef too, because it's totally different than treble clef.
Which
So
the clarinet was.
Clarinet was in treble clef, bass clef is totally different. So it's just kind of like, I learned that real quick, as much as I could. And then it was just kind of like, I'd go in there and kind of have one ear to the tuba player and kind of watch what was going on, and I kind of caught it. And then we played a gig for the Air Force over on the east side, and I'm sitting there with the rest of the band. I'm going, "Where's the tuba player? Where's the tuba player? Where's the tuba player? He's not showing up. You're it." And I was just like, so that's when I learned how to step up. It's a process of playing bass that you have to step up. You have to come forward. You have to be there, and that's where I learned how to do it. Wow. I grabbed a hold of that bass and away we went, you know, and that's how I learned how to read.
Well, I think it's awesome that you didn't start reading until the 50s.
I started learning when you were it was my 50s. Yeah,
when you were in your 50s. So folks, it ain't too late. If you're in your 50s, unless you set in your ways now, but if you want to learn, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Plus, I teach reading at BigEye.com if you want to take music lessons.
I practice with the big band every week. We would practice every week, every Monday or every Thursday, whatever it was, and that's where I got my learning chops. We got new charts all the time, or old charts, and we just go over and over and over again. I take the book home and practice with a drum machine. I had a drum machine that I would practice along with. That's how I got my reading chops. What are you doing now, Bruce? Right now, big bands will call me to fill in if their bass player is sick, because I can read real well. And I'm also doing these shows. I did, like I said, just got done with Camelot. I did Hair and Godspell, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. So
these are theatrical plays, right?
Yeah, you're sitting in the pit.
And the band sits in the pit.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, how are you getting these gigs?
I played in the big band, okay, and the lead singer was a big player type of person over in Birmingham, and she said, "We're going to be putting on Hair, and I think you would be great as the bass player for Hair." And I was like, "Okay, fine." So that's where I met the current director. His name is Dennis Penny, and we got a great relationship. And whenever he does a play, he calls me up and says, "Bruce, I got another play coming up."
That is awesome. What's this director's name again?
Dennis Penny.
So he's a local guy who does local
he does
theater?
Yes. Another guy is another guy that works out of Birmingham. His name is John, and I can't remember his last name. I do some work for him every once in a while.
All right. So if we want to see you perform in the pit, we should go check out these plays by these guys that you just named.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I think I'm gonna have to do that. Plus, ain't nothing wrong with a good play every now and then.
You won't see me. That's the whole thing. Now that is the one thing that I don't like about it. Is like you don't see me.
Well, we see you now, buddy.
You're here.
Right. And I know that's why they call it the pit, because you below the stage or behind the stage.
They jam us into a slot that is probably as wide as that door, and that's what we play. I get the music about 2 months before the show, and I usually pick up.
That's real awesome.
I pick up the CD and then the video of the play, and I sit down and I hammer at it until I got it down. And then it's more practicing and.
That is awesome, man. Now, if we wanted to keep up with Bruce, how could we keep tabs on you?
I am on SoundCloud. I've got a SoundCloud set.
Give it to us.
It's just Bruce Agababian. It's real easy. It's just Bruce Agababian.
Yeah, sure, that's easy. Agababian. All right. How do you spell that, just in case?
It's Agababian.
Okay, and so we can hear you on SoundCloud. That's kind of like in the pit, because we won't be able to see you on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud has got a variety of music. SoundCloud's got the rock and roll stuff that I've done with Jake. There's jazz on there that I've done with my big band. It's a mix. It's a very big mix. That's cool.
Yes. We ought to check that out. We just want to follow your everyday moves. Are you on Facebook or something?
I've got a website, bhadesigninc.com. That has got just one page of me, and that's about it. So, but SoundCloud has got most of the
stuff.
No
Facebook?
Yeah, I've got Facebook.
You don't want us to friend you?
Yeah, sure, friend me, sure.
Because I'm gonna friend you, and then I'm gonna post this interview right there, slap it like a pie in the face right there on your page. I do it to everybody without their permission. And I have been told could you please take that down? And I ain't got a problem with that either.
No, I'm not afraid of anything. No, it's okay. You can do anything you want.
Okay, good. Well, man, I ain't want to keep you, man. And I hope some of these other fine bases have some questions for you, seeming as though you've been doing this for quite some time. Anybody got any questions for them?
Yeah.
Don't nobody want to know nothing about the bass guitar. Everybody in here is a genius.
No, I just ask. What rigs? What rig do you normally use at the play?
At the play, this last time around, I used the Portaflex. I brought out the B15 Portaflex. Okay. But usually I bring the Galen Kruger out. But he wanted a bigger sound. I mean, I brought the Galen Kruger out, and he was like, "That's not loud enough, Bruce." So I brought. Yeah, I bring the Portaflex out and I'm playing that, and the director out there is going, "You're too loud." So it's like, it's one thing or the other. I don't know. Yeah. I've got a variety of different basses. I do have the jazz. I've got a fretless P bass. Let's see. I've got the 4-string version of that guy's. Oh Jesus! What was that bass that?
Paul Reed. You got the Paul Reed.
I got a Paul Reed Smith. Yeah, I got a Padula Thunder and a Padula Buzz. I've got a Zahn fretless, and I've got a Hamer bass too. Yeah.
Oh, you got all those basses, but whose bass is that in your hand right there?
I had to borrow this Fender Jazz.
He got all them basses, didn't bring not one to the basement.
I just wanted to see what this was about first. I didn't know it was.
I didn't know he was gonna be here.
Where you find that at?
Pardon me?
I've never seen the Zahn. Where is that? Where would you find that?
What was the name of that store that was over in Plymouth that closed up?
Oh, low end.
Arnold Williams. Arnold Williams. There was a store out in Plymouth called Arnold Williams. I had, they had an East Side store too that I bought my Mesa Boogie from. But I went there one day and they had this 4-string fretless Zahn. And it's a carbon fiber neck, and then it's got the wood body, but real.
And it doesn't have a headstock either, right?
Yeah, it does have a headstock.
It does
have a headstock. Yeah, it's got a jazz setup on it too. It's got stacked knobs. Oh man, it's great. It's great for jazz gigs. I do a lot of combo work with like a piano drummer and myself and maybe a horn player, and it sounds just like a stand-up. You know, it sounds just like a stand-up.
What's the name of this combo group, in case we want to go check it out?
It's the Brian Lang Trio. It's the Brian Lang Trio. We just got done doing a Christmas album. We did a Christmas album just recently. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As a trio?
As a trio.
Who's playing the melodies?
Brian Lang does all the piano work and did all the arrangements, and then I play bass, and we have a drummer, Andrew.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for this fine
You
man?
use flat wounds on your fretless, don't you?
On everything. I've got flat wounds on everything. I don't use round wounds anymore. Yeah, I used to, though. You know, I used to. And I did a recording with Jake one time, and it was a rock song, and like you could hear my fingers going ear, and I was like, that's it.
I was just about to ask you, why did
done.
you switch? But that's
That
the
was
reason why.
that I could not stop my fingers from doing that, and that recording haunts me. So it's just kind of like, that's it.
And then,
That was
now,
done.
the name of this Christmas album is called what?
Brian Lang Trio, Christmas jazz. Basically, yeah, it's all traditional jazz, Christmas tunes, but in a jazz vein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for this fine bass?
Yeah, I was wondering, when you're doing your plays, do you use a conductor? Do you have a conductor you use?
It's a conductor, and he is not only running the music, but he's also working with the players. The players can see him from a monitor that faces up the stage.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so he's not only watching those cats, but also, you know, us in the back.
That can be mind rattling.
This guy is really very good. He's very talented. He's an extremely talented piano player. It's usually two pianos, bass, and there's usually a smattering of horn players that double. You know, like reed players that play clarinet, sax, and then flute players that got every one of the flutes, and and a drummer, and yeah, it's the first couple of shows that are a little bit rough around the edge, you know, but then after that you kind of get in the groove, and it sounds really great. The really hard part for me is like, I want to be there with the singer, you know, because the singers always launch and you got to be there with them, you know, especially for bass, because they are depending on you. So it's kind of like, hearing them is a little bit on the tricky side. I'm more used to being in a line, you know, and there's a singer right there with monitors blowing in my head. This way you're behind a screen, you know, with a curtain. The monitors are horrible, and you just kind of like, all right, I'm waiting for you, and then you go, you know. Yeah, it's a little on the tricky side.
Especially during rubato sections. I know it's got to be crazy.
Oh, it is. It's,
All I can think of is the flute. It probably plays when somebody's on the stage tiptoeing, right?
yeah. Yeah.
It's like somebody, you know, part of some sneaky, the flute. That's all I can think about.
The stuff is becoming, the more I play, the more challenging the stuff is becoming. You know, it's not just, you know, swing is kind of like, the big band stuff is a lot of swing. It's still 3 chords sometimes, you know, but it's not as challenging. The more I play, the more challenging I want it. And I'll tell you, these show tunes they're nuts. They change keys within 4 measures. You're changing keys, and then you're back again to another different key change and a different time signatures. You're going from 3/4 to 4/4 to 2/4. You know, you're doing cut time, and then you're back into 4/4 again, and it's like, yeah, you gotta be on your toes. You gotta be on your toes all the time, and it's really challenging. It's very it's really good. Yeah.
I got a question. Being a guy like who started playing in the '70s and seeing the change of popular music from the '70s all the way to 2013, do you ever listen to any of the current music and try to transcribe any of those bass lines? Like for like current pop music, or you just gonna stay old school like me?
I'm old school. Yeah, I'm really old school. I really like jazz now. saxophone players are real big for me right now. I really like tenor sax players. I really don't listen to that. I do have a collection of bass player stuff, but I would say the majority of my stuff I listen to is tenor sax players. I really like the old school guys. They're really good. They've got real melodic lines. They're smooth. They're real musicians. They're very good musicians, amazing musicians,
Well,
and they just didn't get the due that they deserved.
Well, I think they still a popular instrument in jazz, especially the smooth jazz. With everything is led by some type of sax.
Yeah.
One or two got through as a bass player.
I mean, I really like Lester Young. I think Lester Young's an amazing sax player. I think, God, who else? There's tons.
Well, I got another question.
I got a request. Could you do the bass line to Let the Sun Shine In from here? Let the Sun Shine In
Oh.
from here?
Honestly, I can't remember a lot of stuff.
He's just like me.
I just read stuff. That's all I do lately is I just read stuff, and then once it's over with,
Right. The brain is like a hard drive, and it's not enough a lot of memory left, so you don't want to be remembering 1,000 songs.
there you go.
You got to remember your name, where you live, stuff like that. You can just put that stuff on paper, right?
Yeah.
So, but that makes me wonder if that's the case when you're reading. Do you still have the opportunity to put feeling and emotions into a read bass line?
There's a good question. Sometimes, yeah, but what the conductor or what the writer has put down onto paper, that's what he wants you to do, and you don't want to kind of embellish it too much. You don't want to stand out too much. I mean, you're basically doing a supporting role, basically, right. and people are kind of depending on you to do the supporting role. So, yeah, you don't want to noodle too much. And the guy that I'm playing with, the conductor, he can tell when you're noodling or doing something a little bit.
You had to play it verbatim.
Yeah,
right. Or you get fired.
You get fired. Basically, yeah. That happened. I was the show before this one, the last show that we did, the drummer did a little pratfall drum roll thing, and the conductor looked at it and went, "That's not cool at all." And he never came back. That was the end of his gig. So it was kind of like,
All right, so you hear that, folks. Stick to the program. We got witnesses. Gordon can tell you about getting too fancy. If you get fancy and it calls for it simple, they are, but that everything has its place. So
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a quick question.
what?
When you're in the pit, what's the orientation? Are you facing the audience? Are you facing the stage?
If the stage is over here and all the players are going on, this is the way I sit. It's the conductor's right, like where you're sitting right now. Yeah, and he is leading. He is separating the horn players from the rhythm section. The rhythm section is 2 pianos, myself, and the drummer in back of me, and then the horn players are on the other side. It's real tight.
We did it that way too.
It's real tight. I mean, I'm telling you, the slot we're playing in is half the width of this room. Yeah, when I did Godspell, I played over at the Grosse Pointe War Memorial. They've got a playhouse there, and we sat right in front of the stage. I mean, the stage was like right up on top over there. I was waiting for something to roll into me, Yeah, and then the audience was just right over there.
okay, well, look, man, I didn't want to keep you, man. I don't like keeping people and kidnapping them and stuff. But I am trying to interview everybody. So, in closing, is there anything that you would like to share with us as a bassist?
I really like what I do. I like playing bass. I think it's a fabulous instrument. I like the supporting role. Yeah, I do like that. I do enjoy it. And I've been doing it for 40 years, so it's like, yeah, and I'll keep on doing it. It's really kind of interesting the way my playing has melded from rock and roll to jazz to this playhouse stuff, and yeah, it's an interesting journey I've been on. It's really cool.
Well, that's good. You like being a side player, but right now, in closing, you're gonna about to do a solo, bro.
Okay.
So, take us home, Bruce. Ladies and gentlemen, Detroit bass player Bruce Agababian.
That's
Thank you.